So today we're gonna have a little fun with people analytics, and we will go ahead and start just with a quick little intro. I'm Heather Whiteman. I am a people analytics lecturer, and I just love talking about this stuff. Huge advocate for people data for good, and excited to be here and share. And Tess, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll tell them what we're getting up to in this session.
Sure, no, love to. So likewise, in regards to Heather, the time that we spent putting this together was all about a capital F for fun. In terms of who I am, well, I've been working in the space of workforce planning and analytics for nearly 20 years now. So in the true definition of an expert about knowing and learning all the mistakes in a very narrow field, that's probably where I'd play. I've learned lots, which has been part of the fun, and learned from my mistakes, which is part of a growth mindset, and being able to, I suppose, take that journey of being able to coach, consult, and be an educator, which I think is why we did this, wasn't it, Heather? Part of it was not just fun with people analytics, but fun with actually, learning and developing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said, well said. So to that, we would like to play some games with you. So we're going to try to make it educational and fun and talk about topics you care about, but we're going to do it with a little bit of a twist here and there through. And I'm going to kind of explain how it works, and then I get to ask Tess first. So again, this is a people analytics session. We're going to talk about that. But I want to ask you, Tess, would you rather? And I'm going to give you two items, and you have to pick which one you like better.
Right.
Now, what's going to be hard is you're going to like them both, but I'm even going to up it another level, which is after you pick one, I'm going to debate you as to why I think you're wrong and the other one is better. And we're going to see how it goes. And people in chat, you're going to help us kind of debate. We're basically we're going to face off on these, and then we'll flip it. I'll give you and then, you give me a chance to pick first, but you get to pick first. Okay. Deal?
Yep.
Okay.
It sounds like fun.
No pressure. Nothing like a fight to get things going. So Tess and I are good enough friends that we can fight.
Yeah.
Tess, would you like to defend reporting or analytics?
I'd rather do analytics. It's tough, but I'd rather do analytics. Yeah.
Why?
So, well, maybe I should start with kind of saying, to me, the reporting, definitely, I'm not saying it's not important. It's the storytelling, it's the engaging. But in order to do the reporting, I've got to do the analytics. And I just mentioned I think the main reason why I went for analytics. For me, it's that excitement about the doing. So I think about it being about discovery, exploration, working with the numbers. CSI moments come to mind where you've got these data points and you're profiling and, you're searching for something. You've got an objective. But sometimes the objective might shift and change. So I think from that perspective, I think it's a working with the data, but it's about that discovery, which makes it quite exciting. And sometimes you don't necessarily know what it is that you're going to discover. You still have an idea and an objective that started the journey, but you don't always have the end absolutely known. And I think that would be the main reason I'd be excited by that. It gets to use, there's a whole lot of fun tools you get to use when you're doing the analytics as well. And you get to, or hopefully when you're doing good analytics, it's also about discussion, and it's not just about one person doing it all. It's about working with others. So there's collaboration and connection. So that's why I would rather analytics. So Heather, why would you? Well, maybe you wouldn't rather doing reporting, but you accepted the challenge. You want to do why reporting?
Yeah, so, in this game, you don't get a choice. You get to defend the other one. Actually, in the comments, if people prefer analytics or reporting, go ahead and tell Miss Y. You can even feed me some answers here that you think I should use against my friend Tess. But if I am defending reporting. Why reporting instead of just analytics? Um, you know, I'm gonna go with the easy one first. You can't do analytics if you don't have any reporting.
Yeah.
If you have no data to actually get it and munge it and clean it and have ways that you can look at it and assure that it's clean and good, you actually don't have a very good foundation from which to then do analytics. If you've never reported on what the values might have been in the past or at different times, how can you truly analyze them? And, I'll also say that there's a lot of power in reporting by itself. I recently joined the International Organization for Standardization, and they're focused on global standards around human capital reporting. And maybe there's a tiny bit of analytics in there, but it's mostly reporting, and it's giving us standard common ways to talk, to transfer ideas, to set things for organizations. And to me, that's pretty darn powerful. So I'm gonna say reporting's still, it's still got a fight in this game.
Give you would you rather people analytics or HR? Yeah, you bet.
I gotta go people analytics. I know that sounds like cheating because this is called People Analytics Future of Work, but yeah, so I'm gonna champion people analytics here rather than HR analytics because HR analytics covers a lot of the processes and a lot of the things we do around talent management and activities, but there's more around what you can know and understand and include about a person that you can include when you talk about people analytics. So we can get into things that might sit outside of the HR purview, and we can get into broader connections. We can get into work-life balance, things that sit outside of the organization. We could get into workplace interactions. We can get into environments, styles. So I'm kind of a champion here of people analytics because it can also maybe include HR analytics as well. But what points would you give to support HR analytics?
Yeah, it's a toughie because given the topic is people analytics, we're probably a bit more pro people analytics. But HR analytics have got a place as well. And I think, in terms of it, there's good HR analytics, which could be used for representing the function itself, its efficiencies and effectiveness, which also means that it could give some indicators as to how the HR function itself can perform better. So not only how it is performing, but also how it could perform better. So I think that would be a pro in the HR analytics. And I think, HR analytics can also, or great HR analytics, can also look at it from the viewpoint of how that function is actually contributing to the business. So same as there is finance analytics or marketing analytics or even business analytics, there's ways that we could be reporting that would help the business understand how the function contributes to the bottom line. So things like programs that might be instigated by HR, such as returnships or referral programs. I mean, just the benefits of these sorts of programs can have significant contribution to the bottom line of an organization. And so it could be considered HR analytics because it's the function itself and it's doing this work, but it could quite significantly be able to represent the story to the business.
A couple more. So, Tess, you get to choose first again this time.
Okay.
So, what would you rather focus on? Operational workforce planning or strategic workforce planning?
Oh, look, I'm a strategic workforce planner, so I'm definitely going to take that one. I knew, you knew I was going to pick that one. It was a pretty obvious one. Having said that, of course,
start giving us some help. Strategic workforce planning or operational? Which one's better and why? All right, Tess, you pick strategic workforce planning, but actually, just in case, I feel like analytics was a little straightforward. Just in case people don't know what workforce planning is, maybe the 10-second definition first, and then why strategic?
Sure. Yep, not a problem. So for me, workforce planning, I pretty much position it as being around, I call them the 9 keywords. It's about understanding our supply and demand of our internal and external organization, current and future. So we need to understand, currently what's our internal and external supply and demand. And we need to do actually understand it across 3 elements or attributes: characteristics. So quite often we're talking about behaviors, your skills, your behavior. Sorry, I already mentioned that. Experiences, knowledge, etc. Your availability, where we need them, which is a great topic for the moment, given that once upon a time we would have, when we said where, it would be a specific physical location. That is definitely being challenged, and the lines are being blurred now. The where, the when. So is it seasonal? Is it all the time? Is it a point in time? And then lastly, but quite significantly importantly, is productivity. So that's what workforce planning is. It's those 9 key words, as I call them. And the other element of it is the timing, the time frame. So I mentioned current and future. So when you're doing tactical workforce planning, which isn't one of our options here, but tactical would tend to be your resourcing and scheduling, which is your immediate kind of month on month. 6 months might be as far as you're going ahead with that. Operational workforce planning tends to align with your operational plans, which is 12 months. So that's when 12 to 18 months might be a bit of a stretch. It depends on the organization. And then strategic is where it's aligned with the time frame in which the business is using to develop their strategic plans. Now, typically that's anywhere from 3 to 5 years, but there's organizations that have programs of work that are out 8, 10 years, even to 20 years. So whatever time frame the business strategy is being developed for, that's what the workforce plan should be aligned to at the minimum. As you start to build the muscle in strategic workforce planning, you can stretch the time frame. So that's my working definition, always up for a stretch, a test and extend, but that's the fundamentals. Is there anything you'd add for defining the space of workforce planning there, Heather?
No, I really like the 9 words to kind of help set it in that layout of tactical, operational, and strategic. But why did you pick strategic?
Okay, so I picture tactical, operational, and strategic like nesting dolls, right? So, from the viewpoint of the decisions that are being made at your tactical and your operational level, they're building your future workforce. Okay, so if you don't have strategic workforce plan, how do you know the decisions you're making on that day-to-day basis is actually building the future workforce you need? So that's why I love strategic workforce planning. I see it as being that it's that, again, exploration and discovery, 2 keywords that I used earlier as to why I like the analytics space. It's also why I like the strategic workforce planning, because here you're not just dealing with a probable future, what's likely to happen given what's already happened. It's also about the plausible and the possible. The plausible being what's resonating, but it's not necessarily something that your organization has on its immediate radar at the present. And possible, well, anything's possible, isn't it? So as a result, strategic workforce planning is an opportunity to stimulate and to stretch thinking. And that's why I get excited about that space.
A goal that we're going with here is, look, it's really both of these things. So, of course, I
Yeah.
like strategic workforce planning, but that's not the game we're playing. So, let me tell you why it should be operational workforce planning. Is so strategic's wonderful, but how many times have we seen a strategy for a company get blown away? For example, I wonder how many strategic workforce plans are now in the metaphorical, wastebasket because nobody planned for COVID. And those kind of plans are sometimes not able to react as quickly, whereas an operational workforce plan, you might be able to address more near term issues within it and then make sure that you can get there. So I see operational workforce planning as slightly more direct to the situation that we're dealing with today. But I'll also give it credit for it has that alignment to the financials, to the head count, to the operating rhythm. Not that strategic can't, But there is something very real about a 12-month goal or an end of year or a quarter goal that really does bring workforce planning to the forefront when you do it on an operational standpoint. And so I really like that about it, that it can be integrated into the work processes. So that would be my little pitch for why operational instead of strategic.
Well, I think that's part of it, though, isn't it? I mean, let's go back to the game itself. Would you rather? It's meant to be hard to choose because you wouldn't really rather one or the other anyway. So that's how the game's played. So it is challenging. And I think, for me, I wouldn't want to do strategic workforce planning and not do operational workforce planning. It is very much about, we need them all, right? They've all different purposes. It's so interesting, though, how many organizations do only focus on one or two of these, purely by the timeframes that they're using, and wanting to deal with the knowns. So to your point about the operational, if an organization only worked operationally and only worked with knowns, then they will always be in a response mode. Whereas the
Yeah.
strategic actually gives you the opportunity to be the proactive. But again, to your point, if you're not truly exploring things like what would happen if there was a pandemic and how we would all work virtually, then that would be quite challenging. So I'd say that you're not quite doing the strategic workforce planning right if you're not exploring some of those scenarios. But it would be impossible to present that you can think of every variable, right? But it is very much about some preparedness, I think, is part of the story there.
Yeah. And
All
I like
right.
it. You gave me a nice little knock back there where you were, saying like, yeah, but your operational is only reactive, isn't it? I caught that last little jab that you got in.
It's
All
okay, but
right,
I
let's
pulled the
do
punch,
our last.
right? I pulled it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. You're still playing clean. We're fine.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
All right.
All right. Last one.
Last one, yeah. And I believe it's my turn to pick this time.
It is
All
indeed.
right. Well, weirdly enough, I've had the words that are on the left 3 times in a
Uh-huh.
row now, so I'm just going to stick with it because it's working for me. So, Tess, I pick data transparency over data privacy. So, I'm going to call out everyone, those who know me know I am all about how we think about data for good and how to be transparent, how to be private, how to be appropriate, how to not be creepy with our data. But if I have to pick one or the other, I would actually pick data transparency over data privacy. And my reasoning for that is I think that it's our inability to know what data is captured on ourselves and on others and how it's being used and the outcomes of it that actually is the root of most of the problems. I think that if there was more transparency, we might see less privacy problems because there wouldn't be any hidden, invisible harm. Kathy O'Neill's book, Weapons of Math Destruction, talks about
Yeah.
one of the key components of that being that it's not transparent, that it's invisible. And, when you look at systems like baseball, they keep stats on everything and they run predictive models all the time. And they do some
Mhm.
really kind of weird things with those analyses, but it's not a problem because they're transparent about every single number. And people debate how good or how bad these metrics are and how good and how bad these models are in a really open, healthy way to where they're not doing as much damage because people are aware of what's going on and what's with it. So I am pretty strongly on the data transparency side here. Not that I don't like yours as well, but that's my take.
Yeah, I know it's a tricky one. Um, so I'm actually going to use a verbatim quote from the chat earlier in today's sessions,
Ooh.
where, yeah, in a session earlier today in the Q&A, someone actually commented, as an employee, I think I would not feel comfortable sharing some personal information with my employer. So I thought, when I saw that, I wrote it down and I thought, here's a position of someone thinking about, their privacy. So when this came up, it was just a trigger to me, just to play it back, to say, actually, people see that, their data, they want control over what it's being used. They want to see it as being an ownership of theirs. It's private. I get to choose when I do and don't share it, and how it's collected, shared and used. I think people see it as a mark of respect, that their privacy is regarded, and that if there is the signal from respect and trust kind of go hand in hand. So you can't give trust necessarily without respect, and you can't give trust without, giving them the respect. So that's where I feel the privacy part plays out. But I think, to your point that you just made earlier, though, if people are being transparent about how it's being used, then that does actually start building that bridge for the respect. Hang on, I think I'm starting to flip the sides here. That's not how we're meant to play.
Don't worry, I'm on your team on this one too. I think if this was a real boxing match, we'd just both decide to nope, not doing it. I think we are in each other's corner on this one. We are happy to be connected with you. As we mentioned, we're both kind of educators, trainers, communicators, and we just love helping people on their own personalized kind of unique journey. So feel free to reach out to us. And any last closing comments, Tess?
No, I absolutely agree. And I found it so interesting that with both of us just then, there was some alignment between what we would do differently and what we would do the same, which is just amazing. But it makes me wonder, from our audience, you're kind of going, oh, is there some more data there? I wonder if there's a story there. What about you, Al?
Fantastic.
It's funny because when you started, you started on this combative staging, and then you end up like holding hands, skipping down the lane. So it was nice to watch that transition happen. But yeah, one of the things I just want to call out that you two have highlighted is that defining terms in our discipline is necessary, that we do need to get on the same page with those that we're working with, whether that be internal customers or partners, and certainly technology firms, because the language is flying all over the place. So just being grounded in that, and also highlighting the fact that, it's fun. I really applaud the level of conversation and, just the way you two show up. So thank you for that.